Hey guys, I just wanted to go over some points with free response questions and some tips that I've gotten going through asking other teachers, reading some stuff about the AP tests, looking at practice tests myself, looking at practice questions, looking at the actual AP readers rubrics, just kind of going through that and seeing what tips I can give you guys, especially for free response questions, since that's what's going to be on the AP test this year. I just posted your free response number 2 and 3, so you can go ahead and look at that. And you notice that the words that I bolded in there, those are keywords that can help you answer the questions and figure out what you actually need in your answer. So I'm not going to go through all of this. I'm going to let you read a lot of it yourself because it's just some examples, some good example answers and some bad example, or not bad, but just not as good examples of answers that you just need to spend some time and read through it on your own. But I will go through a couple of quick tips that would not hurt for me to vocally express to you guys. And that's a couple of these main points are: be short. Sometimes it's not good to fully answer. That's what I've said in my test, or put everything you know on there. But sometimes at the AP test and the AP level, you don't want to put everything you know unless you're just have nothing and you just need to write something down. But if you know the answer and you know what it's asking and you know what it's talking about, then keep your answer short and sweet. Readers are going to look for key phrases and key words. So like when I grade tests, for example, and I'm looking for, like in your free response question, mutation type. One of them was an example. One of the examples was a nonsense mutation. So in my reading, I sometimes may not read every single word. I may skim and look for, do they have the right name for the mutation? Okay, good. Then point for that. Do they say what a nonsense mutation does? Great, point. And that's what the readers are going to do too. You either have the answer there or you don't. And sometimes just be short, help them see that easier so they will give you points easier. So don't include material that isn't asked for. Okay, so don't just vomit everything you know about that subject, like cell respiration. If the question has to do with cell respiration, answer the specific question. Don't regurgitate everything that you know about glycolysis and electron transport chain and everything. Just answer the question and focus on the question. Keep your statements brief and strong statements. So don't include any. We've been working on our lab reports with vague phrasing. Don't use vague phrasing. There's a reason that we work on that with your lab reports. So I think, or is likely, or just these like loose phrases, those are not good to use in the AP test. So keep strong phrases there. Put this is this. Just keep it straightforward and simple. Full sentences, don't use bullet points. So don't just put the answer, write a whole sentence out. Okay? Make sure you write, even though you may feel like it's unnecessary, just put it in a full sentence. Okay? And label your section. So if it has multiple parts, make sure you have like part A, part B, part C. Make sure you label for yourself. If you find yourself in the test and you know of one that you really, really know, do that one first, because that's what you're probably, if you know that one and you're more confident in that question than the other questions, do that one first, fully explain it, and make sure your answer is good before you go through the other ones. Okay, so go to what's easiest for you and then move to the hardest, and that will help you get the most points possible. Read the question at least 2 times. You guys know from your tests that sometimes when you read it the first time, oh, that's not what I thought it was asking. So it doesn't hurt to read it through a couple times and make sure you're looking for those focus words, like the words that I put in bold, justify, explain, so you can search out what you're looking for. And you guys are pretty skilled at this, just doing the tests that we've done in this class, because you've had to dig through the context of those questions to figure out what the questions are asking. And there's a reason I ask those questions, because AP tests have questions like that too. So you guys, you know what you're digging for. Just make sure you focus on what the question is asking for. And yeah, oh, back to the bolded point here. It seems that most people lose points because you misread the question. So that's why I'm spending some time just saying that. Make sure you read it twice and make sure you answer everything that they're asking. Okay. Again, I'm going to have you go through most of these. I'm just going to go through a couple of them quickly with you. Claim, keep it a simple statement. Simple statement, usually one sentence, and you're done. Read through that yourself. Providing evidence. Don't just regurgitate what the chart says. You have to take the trends into account. Take into account the patterns. For this one in particular, talk about which growth rate is higher, which one is increasing faster. Don't just say, oh, well, species A starts at 10, species B starts at 10, species B ends at 700, species A ends at 1500. Don't just regurgitate. That's regurgitating what the table's saying. Make sure you talk about the trends in the data, okay? Trends in the data are what's going to help. For reasoning, you're putting how or why the evidence supports a claim. So why do these numbers actually support your original statement? So just like, did we support our hypothesis? Why do you say that? You guys practice that in lab reports. You guys know how to do it. Describe, sorry, some of these are wonky. For describe, you're just asking for a description of something, of usually a diagram or some kind of picture in words. So you're just describing what the diagram is showing you. Keep it simple. Don't over-explain. Okay, so like this example for description. This is like way more than it was asking, okay? Keep it simple. Answer what they're asking specifically. Don't go overboard. Okay. Predict, and you had one of these on here, was predicting on your three response we just went over. So make sure that you say, for example, in this one, the contractile vacuole will increase. For the one about the proteins and for response number 2, it was predict what you think this mutation will do to the protein. This mutation will affect protein structure. This mutation will disrupt the protein function and structure and function, and then justify why you're saying that. So why are you saying that? But make sure you put that it will do this. That's a prediction. Justifying is just usually it'll follow a prediction, just like we just talked about. Okay, predict the activity of the vacuole and justify it. So then it says the contractile vacuole will increase. So that's the prediction part because, and here everything following that is the justification. So you're just saying why you made that prediction. Again, you guys have done this in lab reports a million times. You can do it. You know how to justify. Explain. You're going to see explain a lot on there. Okay, so you're going to be given probably something that's really, this is from the previous test, this example, so you're not going to be asked about the immune system. Some of these are from the previous test, not with the new test, the way it's designed, because we don't teach the immune system anymore, so don't forget about that. But the point is just to see, like, this is what you're going to be given. You're going to be given a diagram and what looks like a crazy long paragraph that you have to kind of dig through. But it just wants you to explain how pore formation and interleukin increase and contribute to an organism's defense. So you're just explaining how those things contribute to defense. And you'll notice the answer is just 2 or 3 sentences. So look at the bad example. Bad example is way more than it was asking, okay? Way more. So just answer what they were asking, and that's it. Identify. This can be tricky because this one you'll be tempted to put like just the answer. For example, it says which one would be absent if enzyme YUC is non-functional. Some of you may want to just put IAA. Don't do that. Put the molecule that would be absent is IAA. Even if it seems silly, redundant to have to restate that, just restate it and put a whole sentence. And you'll see then the bad example there. But you also see a bad example, which is going overboard. You don't need to go overboard and have 3 sentences. You just need to say the molecule missing would be IAA. Okay, I'll let you go through that. Designing an experiment. You guys, again, in lab reports, you've designed experiments a billion times and you've had to identify variables. You've had to figure out what a null hypothesis is with Hardy-Weinberg. You've had to figure out what your prediction is, what's the objective of the experiment. You guys have done this a million times, okay? You just need to do it in the context of what they're giving you. So these are the things that you'll need to do if it's saying design an experiment. This will probably be your next free response question, is something having to do with designing an experiment, just to test you on that, give you some practice with it. And if it says to graph something, here's an example of one I found recently that I thought was so silly, okay? And you will lose points for doing this wrong. You guys know how to make graphs, again, from your lab reports very well. You know how to draw them out. This is a bad graph. From first glance, it doesn't look like a bad graph, okay? But this graph would lead you to believe that males have way more COVID-19 in Rhode Island than females. So you could be looking at this and saying, well, wait, what? Wow, like males are getting way more infected. What's going on? But look at the numbers on the side. 76 to 88. That's like nothing. Here's a better example of a graph, okay? So here you can see it goes from 0 to 100. All the data is encapsulated there. And you can see there's really not much of a difference between males and females. The news does this all the time, by the way. All the time. You have to check for it. You have to look at the axes on the graphs. They'll make it seem like things are a bigger difference than they are. So keep an eye out for that. But that's also something to look out for when you're graphing. Make sure you have good graphs that encapsulate the whole data and are labeled and are just like the ones that you hand in for your lab reports. All right, if you have questions, send them my way.